The vast desert night stretched out like an endless ocean, the stars puncturing the inky black sky with their piercing glow. The ground still radiated the day's heat, and the faint hum of cicadas provided the only sound in the stillness. The neon sign of Sonny's Diner flickered weakly, casting long, eerie shadows over the cracked pavement of the nearly abandoned parking lot. Inside the dimly lit diner, Sam, the weathered owner, wiped down the counter absent-mindedly, his gaze locked on the small, outdated television above the cash register. The news anchor's voice crackled through the speaker. Authorities are warning travelers to avoid Highway 89 as a string of vehicle thefts continue to be linked to an organized carjacking ring. Law enforcement advises extreme caution. Sam barely registered the warning. In this forgotten corner of the world, crime was just part of the landscape. At the counter sat a lone figure, Chuck Norris. The legendary martial artist and Texas Ranger sat with quiet intensity, his broad shoulders hunched over a steaming cup of coffee. His weathered hands, scarred from years of battles both inside and outside the ring, rested on the counter. He had seen it all: violence, corruption, and the slow decay of justice. But Chuck wasn't here to reminisce. He was waiting. As he took a final sip, he slid a generous tip onto the counter. Sam gave him a knowing nod. "Safe travels, friend." Chuck returned the nod, stood up, and made his way to the exit. As the bell above the door jingled, he stepped out into the night, the crunch of gravel beneath his boots echoing into the silence. His trusty Ford F-150 sat under the harsh glow of the lone street lamp. The truck was a road warrior, scarred but reliable, much like its owner. But something felt off. Chuck's instincts, honed by years of danger, immediately sensed it. The cicadas had stopped chirping. The air carried the faint scent of burning rubber and motor oil. Then he saw it. A dark vehicle lurking beyond the diner's property line. No headlights. No movement. But he could feel the eyes watching him. As he reached for his truck door, the silence shattered. Step away from the vehicle. Red and blue lights exploded in the night as a police cruiser skidded into the lot, tires screeching. A voice boomed from the patrol car's loudspeaker. "Hands where we can see them." Two officers emerged, one seasoned and imposing, the other younger and hesitant. The veteran, Sergeant Travis, radiated authority laced with arrogance. His face was a stone mask of ruthless determination, his hand hovering near his holster. The rookie, Officer Carver, looked uneasy, his eyes darting between Chuck and his aggressive partner. His trembling fingers hovered over his taser. "Down on the ground. Hands behind your head." "Now," Travis barked, stepping forward. Chuck remained still, his piercing gaze locking onto the sergeants with the intensity of a predator assessing a threat. "I don't know what you think is happening here," Chuck said, his voice steady as steel. "But this is my truck. I have the registration inside. Shut up and get down." Travis snapped. Carver's eyes flicked to the license plate. Doubt crept into his expression. But Travis didn't hesitate. He reached for his baton, and the night exploded into action. The baton swung fast, but Chuck was faster. In one fluid motion, he sidestepped, letting the baton smash into the truck's hood with a sharp metallic clang. Before Travis could recover, Chuck's hand shot out like lightning, gripping the officer's wrist in an iron vise. Travis's eyes widened in shock as he felt the sheer power behind the grip. A heartbeat later, Chuck twisted. The baton clattered to the ground. Travis's arm locked painfully behind him. Carver panicked. "Let him go." A taser crackled, but Chuck was already moving. The electrified barbs missed, embedding harmlessly into the truck door. Carver's inexperience was written all over his trembling hands. Chuck turned to him. "Stand down, kid. This isn't your fight." But Travis wasn't done. Snarling, he lunged, reaching for his gun. "Bad move." Chuck acted before the weapon even cleared its holster. A precise palm strike to the wrist sent the gun spiraling into the dirt. With a swift leg sweep, Travis crashed onto the pavement, gasping. Carver hesitated, his grip on the taser loosening. Then, in the distance, sirens wailed. "Backup's coming," Carver whispered. Chuck didn't move. "Good. Maybe they'll bring some real cops." Within minutes, the parking lot flashed red and blue as multiple cruisers surrounded the scene. Officers poured out, weapons raised and ready. Chief Briggs stepped forward, eyes sweeping over the two downed officers and the legendary Chuck Norris standing untouched. "What the hell happened here?" Briggs demanded. Travis, still on the ground, snarled through clenched teeth. He attacked us. We were arresting him for a stolen vehicle. Carver hesitated. Then, in a quiet but firm voice, he said, "That's not what happened." Briggs turned to him. "Explain." Carver swallowed hard. "Travis attacked first. No warning. No cause. He was out for blood." Silence fell. Then the radio crackled. "Dispatch to all units. Be advised that the suspect in the vehicle theft has been apprehended on Route 92. The confirmed stolen vehicle is a black F-150. Everyone turned to Chuck's truck. Blue, not black. Briggs exhaled sharply. Travis had lied. "Travis, explain yourself." The chief's voice was ice. Travis lunged. His hand shot for his weapon. Chuck reacted instantly. One precise strike to the wrist sent the gun clattering away. With a final pivot, Chuck sent Travis sprawling face first into the pavement, where handcuffs snapped shut. Briggs watched, arms crossed. Not a single officer moved to help Travis. "You're under arrest," Briggs said coldly, "for assault, abuse of power, and reckless endangerment." Travis spat blood onto the pavement, eyes burning with rage. "You think this is over?" he hissed. "You have no idea who you're messing with." Chuck cracked his knuckles, stepping over him. I was about to say the same thing. The tension in the parking lot was thick as Chief Briggs turned to the gathered officers. "Secure Travis. Carver, you're coming with me. We'll sort this out at the station." As Travis was hauled to his feet, his face twisted in fury. "You're making a mistake, Briggs. You don't know who I work for." Briggs scoffed. "Oh, I know exactly who you work for. And after tonight, so will everyone else." Chuck remained motionless, his eyes locked on Travis. "You're just the symptom," he said coolly. "I'm going after the disease." Travis spat onto the ground, sneering. "You think you're a hero? You're just a washed-up cowboy." Chuck smirked. "Then why are you the one in cuffs?" At the station, Carver sat in the interrogation room, visibly shaken. "Chief, there's more. Travis has been running an operation, cars, drugs, bribery. It's not just him. There are higher-ups involved." Briggs rubbed his temples. "You realize what you're saying, right? This could take down half the department." Chuck leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Then we take them down." Briggs nodded slowly. "We'll need proof." Carver swallowed hard. "I know where they meet. An old warehouse near the freight yard. If we move fast, we can catch them." Chuck cracked his knuckles. "Then let's move fast." The warehouse loomed in the moonlight, a rusted relic of a forgotten industry. Briggs, Chuck, and a team of officers moved into position. Inside, voices carried over the sound of clinking glasses and murmured deals. Briggs signaled, "Go." The doors burst open, and chaos erupted. Gunfire cracked through the night, but Chuck moved like a shadow, disarming one thug with a swift strike before taking down another with a precise roundhouse kick. Briggs and his men secured the ringleaders while Chuck cleared the remaining goons. Within minutes, it was over. The operation had been dismantled. Travis's boss, a corrupt city official named Radcliffe, was dragged out in cuffs, his face pale with shock. Chuck dusted off his hands. "I think that's game over." The next morning, headlines blared. Corrupt officers busted in sting operation. Travis and his co-conspirators faced decades behind bars. Carver, now hailed as a whistleblower, was reinstated with commendation. Briggs ensured the department was cleaned up from the inside out. As for Chuck, he returned to Sonny's diner, sipping his coffee as Sam shook his head in amazement. "You sure know how to make an exit." Chuck smirked. "Sometimes, justice needs a little persuasion." With that, he finished his coffee, tossed a tip onto the counter, and stepped out into the desert morning, ready for whatever came next. Just as Chuck was about to leave town, a black sedan rolled up to the diner, its tinted windows reflecting the desert sun. Sam's eyes narrowed. "You expecting company?" Chuck placed his cup down, standing slowly as the car door opened. A man in a crisp black suit stepped out, his expression unreadable. "Mr. Norris," the man said, his voice smooth but firm. "You've made powerful enemies." Chuck crossed his arms. "Wouldn't be the first time." The man smirked. "They sent me to offer you a deal. Walk away from this town, from this fight, and we won't come after you." Chuck's eyes darkened. "And if I don't?" The man's smirk faded. "Then you'll be making a very dangerous choice." Chuck glanced at Sam, then back at the suited man. "Tell your bosses something for me." The man arched a brow. "And what's that?" Chuck stepped forward, his voice a low growl. If they send someone else, they better send more than one. A tense silence stretched between them before the man gave a curt nod and slid back into the car. As it sped off, Sam let out a low whistle. Looks like you just made some new friends. Chuck chuckled, tossing a few bills onto the counter. Let them try. With that, he strode to his truck, the dust swirling in his wake. The fight wasn't over, but Chuck never backed down from a fight. And so, the legend continued.